More dear, what your thoughts are on the mini stories we have for you tonight.
It's Menstrual Hygiene Day, and calls to government to scrap taxes on sanitary pads have intensified. Activists have described as unapplicable the Chief Justice nominee Gertrude Tokonu's suggestion that the scrapping of taxes on pads should be for little and school-going females alone, arguing that her comments are unreflective on the situation at hand. My colleague Judith Awachitando reports.
Hey.
Hi.
How much is this?
19 CDs.
And this one?
25 CDs, 10 pesos.
Wow. Back then, many years ago, it wasn't this tedious trying to get a sanitary pad to use. But now, due to the high cost of living, you'd averagely need at least 20 Ghana cedis to get a sanitary pad to use. And this is becoming very difficult for vulnerable women and girls.
Accessibility, affordability, availability of sanitary pad is still a challenge for the average Ghanaian person. And so we want to intensify the advocacy. If we want to make menstruation a normal fact of life, then every barrier that prevents menstruation from being a normal fact of life, including availability, including accessibility, including affordability, should be removed.
Well, if you're unaware of the gravity of this situation, then here's a breakdown. Currently, there are 15 separate taxes on one sanitary pad, ranging from 0.4% to as high as 20%. Import duties, ECOWAS levy, import VAT, and the list goes on and on. Basically, sanitary pads are now classified as a luxury item, and the effect trickles down to the education and general livelihoods of women and girls. Calls by activists for taxes to be scrapped are increasing by the day. The latest being from the Chief Justice nominee, Gertrude Arabaisaba Tokonu, who on Friday, May 26, proffered what, in her view, could be a solution. She called for the scrapping of taxes for school and little children, but maintained working females should continue paying taxes on them. But National Coordinator for the Ghana CSO's platform, Leveling Konedu Asiedu, disagrees.
Pad is an essential product. Every woman or girl in the menstruating period uses a pad. And the barriers that women and girls face because of pad is not as a result of being a worker or being a school child. The person in the deprived community is deprived of pad. Even if they can afford, the pads are not available. They are so expensive. The availability is a problem. Accessibility is a problem.
As the world marks Menstrual Hygiene Day, Ghana might have to heed to the calls of activists to ensure women are not marginalized due to menstrual health. After all, countries like Kenya, Rwanda, and South Africa have removed taxes on sanitary products. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News, Accra.
Definitely, and we are staying on the issue because access to sanitary pads is a challenge for millions of girls and women in Ghana. Now, here in Ghana, there have been calls on government to remove taxes on sanitary products to make them more affordable to women and girls. We're going on to Zoom now, where we have the Lioness of Africa, Afropop singer-songwriter Wiala. She's also a women's advocate. Good evening, Wiala. Thank you for joining us on News 360.
Thank you for having me.
We've heard you speak a few times about the issue of menstrual hygiene, especially where you are coming from. Tell us how big the issue is, especially in the rural areas.
In the rural areas is very serious. For me, in my opinion, there are two main challenges: affording the sanitary pad and even having access to it. I know everybody is watching on national television, but when I relocated to Funsi, where my mother had to go and work with an NGO, we moved from Wa. And the year some of us started experiencing menstruation, we're so fortunate that that was the year, I think the early 2000s, that always started. We heard about pad. So some of us did use the materials for a while because we didn't know what was happening to us. So we tried, we were a bit shy, so we would hide that thing from our parents, but they could tell. And it was difficult because In Funsi, when we went to Funsi, at that time there was no electricity. It was very, very dark in the night, and there were no shops in Funsi at that time that they sold parts. So you had to manage with the cloth, and your senior sisters or your mothers, those who were not shy to discuss and tell you that we see you are growing, you are going to start experiencing menstruation, which means you are now maturing into a woman. They will tell you to use a clean cloth, but make sure you don't use nylon or use cotton based materials. And some people use cotton toilet roll and gauze. Yes. And unfortunately, a few months later, we saw on TV always, and then some of us started figuring out how to do it. Now, my father works with the Ministry of Health, so he could afford pad for me, especially when we started going to secondary schools. But I've seen girls who came from rural areas, and even when you give them the pad, they didn't know how to use it because it was quite new. And not only that, they cannot afford in the rural areas, and not only in the north, the whole of Ghana, most rural areas, the girls can't afford it. And secondly, they can't even access it, even if they have money, because some of the communities are so remote that the road networks there are not great. So when a girl is in her menstruation, in her period, she can't go to school because she's a bit shy, she's confused, she's dull. And we all know how these things are. Even you, the individual that you have experienced it and you are an adult. Sometimes there are days when you are in your period, you don't even want to talk to anybody, the mood change, everything change. So accessibility and being able to afford are the two main challenges that I have experienced growing up.
So the issue of accessibility and affordability, how do you think we can handle that so that these girls can get the sanitary pads as and when they need them?
In my humble opinion, I'll appeal to the Ghana government, Ministry of Health, to please help and make sanitary pads free for every girl in every school, so that when a girl is going to school, in fact, it will even be very motivational for young girls to go to school because they know when they go, there's a safe place they can go and talk to their either health prefect or health madam to take them through menstruation, hygiene, and let them know that it's normal what is happening to them at that particular age. And if I am a young girl in a remote area, I can't afford a pad, but I know when I go to school, I can talk to somebody and get it for free. How much is pad? I'm sure the government, being the government, they have enough finances to be able to supply our young sisters. And I think it will be a way to motivate a lot of girls to go to school with peace of mind, high self-esteem, and feel happy when they are going to school. Because, you know, for example, when you are going to school those days in most rural areas and you know you are going to have lunch in school, it motivates you to go. So I think they can do the same with free pads for every girl that needs pad, because these are basic needs that as young women, when we are supported, it encourages us, it makes us feel loved, it makes us feel seen, it makes us feel very important. Oh, people are really listening to us, and it's an opportunity to talk to our young sisters in especially rural areas, but not only rural areas. If it becomes free, and maybe yes, free pads for all girls that needs them at their various schools, whether private or if you have a private school, it should be, you know, kind of mandatory that you have pads for your teenage girls that need them. I think that would be great. That is what I'll appeal for, instead of just cutting down taxes, so that after school and all that, all the experience, when you are out there and you are working, you already have the experience, so you can afford it, because it's very expensive. Yeah.
Definitely, Riala. Thank you very much for your time this evening on News 360. Riala is an Afro-pop singer and a women's advocate who's advocating for government to make pads free across the country.
That's a good call, and truly the Lioness of Africa. Keep roaring, Riala. We are behind you. All right, let's shift our attention to some other stories this evening. The Tema Heavy Industrial Area is on a ticking time bomb due to the high level of risk it is exposed to. Its deplorable roads is making it difficult for regulators to access the enclave to offer prompt attention to occupational hazards such as fuel leakages and accidents. George Queening was there and reports.
This is the Tema-heavy industrial area. Here you can find refineries, fuel depots, melting companies, among others. It's a very busy area. But one major challenge here is the accessibility to these companies due to deplorable roads. Workers, fuel tanker and haulage drivers alike have had to deal with this setback for more than 15 years. There are some workers who even pay double the fare because commercial drivers are unwilling to ply the roads. Some fuel tanker drivers tell me how much of their income goes into regular maintenance. Business in this area has reduced drastically. Last year, for instance, a tanker overturned on its way to a fuel retailing outlet after transporting fuel from one of the depots.
It almost crashed onto another smaller vehicle that was passing, and it was a very, very deadly scene. Someone could have been killed or someone could have been severely injured. Luckily, they could not fall off, but nobody had any severe injury.
Even this taxi has not been spared. The situation is troubling, these drivers tell me.
In fact, Mr. can't think almost about since 95. I can't think another road we still cry.
The roads have been bad for a very long time. Successive governments come and go, but nothing changes. Cutting fuel from this enclave is very difficult.
In fact, it's very difficult.
We are really suffering. I almost fell in a ditch while exiting the depot. The contractor's work is not impressive at all.
Kwabena Baswa is concerned about companies in the enclave supporting government efforts in reshaping the deplorable roads.
1977, still Sahara industrial area.
The roads have been bad since 1977, but this is an industrial area. Government cannot do everything alone. We need support.
Workers of existing depots and refineries are equally worried. Diversion to the area is virtually non-existent. Most companies in this area are regulated by the Ghana National Fire Service, NPA and EPA, and activities here mostly border on pollution and health hazards. In case where there is even a fire outbreak or leakages in any of these depots, it requires the attention of these regulators to come and assess the situation. In most instances, it takes hours or even not at all because of the deplorable roads. And so you can imagine the repercussion.
Fire service has complained a lot of times. They are one of our major pliers of this route to attend to emergencies in the enclave. Anytime that happens and they're able to access the place, we have found wanting.
Managers continue to count their losses, especially with the onset of the rains, as it mostly brings businesses to a halt.
It really hampers our businesses in this area. Oftentimes, there's been a lot of times we've complained to the authorities. We remember they came to cut a sod about 2 or 3 years ago for dualization of those roads. After the sod cutting, no action.
Officials of the National Fire Service are worried about the impact on their responsiveness to industrial fires.
Looking at a strategic place like the Asogli power plant, which is within the enclave of that area, our men spend close to 30 minutes to be able to leave their station to a fire around that area, which shouldn't be the case. The probable nature of the road is not getting any better. It's getting worse, you know. So the worse it gets, the more likelihood lives, you know, will be in danger. So I believe a timely intervention would help save a lot of lives and properties within the enclave.
The situation persists in New Takoradi in the western region. The roads leading to the depots were worse until they were patched with laterite. Relevant stakeholders at the Tema-heavy industrial area, including tanker drivers, depot and refinery workers, say they've called on government severally to intervene, but these calls have proved futile. For them, government should not watch on until the worst happens. Josh Queening, TV3 News, Tema-heavy industrial area.
Well, we'll be going to Nigeria soon, but for the first time in Ghana's history, neurosurgeons have successfully conducted an awake brain surgery to remove a tumor from a patient. My colleague Portia Gabo tells the story of how Sergeant Sylvester Boakye of the Ghana Police Service played the mouth organ, sang the national anthem, and identified objects in the 8-hour complex surgery, the first in West Africa.
For 2 years, a 39-year-old Sergeant, Sylvester Boakye, had challenges with personality, recall and memory, and difficulty in communication.
They realized that he started having challenges with hallucinations, always having bad dreams. He sees, but he sees things in a different way. So instead of seeing you as a human being, he might be seeing you as a different object. He was taken to the hospital in Kumasi. They examined him and then he was referred for further treatment. People thought it was a psychiatric issue, so he was sent to the psychiatric hospitals where prescriptions were given for psychiatric medication.
But a turning point came when he was referred to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital this year.
When we saw him, the necessary test was done. We detected that he had a brain tumor. The tumor is located in the area that helps us to be able to visual things and position ourselves and be able to have good memory, good thinking, regulate the hallucinations and the dreams, and also helps us in our emotions. We realized that operating on him, we would then have to work on him awake. Because if we attempt operating on him asleep completely, we might be removing the tumor, but he will come out with a deficit.
Awake brain surgery is a kind of surgery in which patients are alert and engaged during parts of the procedure to avoid brain damage. 1 week before the surgery, Sergeant Sylvester Boakye is taken through a rehearsal.
You will see this thing here. We will have so many people. You see all these things.
It's Thursday, May 25, the day of the surgery. Anesthetists prepare him for the surgery. A neurosurgical clamp is brought in to hold his head still, while an image guidance system is used to find the exact location of the tumor. Professor Samuel Kaba holds the pointer over the 39-year-old sergeant's head, and in the computer monitor screen, the interior of his brain is displayed. His scalp is anesthetized so he does not feel pain. A cut is now made through his scalp, which is clipped to expose the skull. A piece of the skull is then cut in order to see the brain. Once the brain is exposed, the most critical aspect of the surgery has to begin. Sergeant Sylvester Boakye is gradually woken up for a procedure called brain mapping. In this process, different parts of his brain are stimulated as the neurosurgeon applies small electrical currents to the tissue around the tumor. Sergeant Sylvester has a role to play as he answers questions, identifies objects shown to him by the clinical psychologist and neurophysiologist who monitor his reaction. This allows the surgeons to remove as much of his tumor as possible while preserving critical brain functions.
Are we on the tumor?
Yes, cow.
Cow.
We are on the tumor. Here?
Cow.
Is he recognizing?
Yes.
Can he recognize?
He's not recognizing now.
Is he recognizing?
No.
Show it to him again.
He's recognizing.
Now. Give him the mouth organ, let's see.
What is it?
Sorry.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead. No, it helps me to press. So now if you have some, give me the distance. Is it the one playing? Yes, it's the one playing. Clement.
Yes, sir.
Any activities here?
Yes, I'm getting a lot of activities.
A lot of activities. What of here?
It's slightly reduced.
What of here?
Yes,
Huge activities. What of where I am?
Throughout the process, he remains loyal to his country and the Ghana Police Service.
home and make a nation build in more. I wanted to be yeah, wanted to be able, yeah, to be a police. This is the way I wanted to be.
So don't worry, everything is fine, okay? We'll be able to take all the tumor, we'll do some little test, and you'll be fine, okay?
For 39-year-old police officer Boakye, this surgery comes as a huge relief to him after years of being misdiagnosed as having a psychiatric problem. He cannot wait to tell the story of the day the policeman supervised or even policed his own surgery.
We as anesthetists, our main aim is to make sure that this operation goes on successfully, and above all to make sure that the patient at the end of the surgery does not lose some very vital functions.
There were certain activities that I took the patients through, and that stimulates the area so that when the surgeon is working, he will know which areas are working and which areas not to touch.
The historic feat chalked in Ghana was made possible thanks to equipment government purchased for the surgery of the conjoined twins.
We are very happy because these are surgeries that are done in the developed world, and we are doing them right here in Ghana. This is possible because of the equipment we had to do the conjoined twin surgery. Now we've used it to save a lot of people, including this policeman who will go back to service.
For the first time, we have patient awake doing a brain surgery on him because we wanted to be able to monitor whether he will suffer from any paralysis, any speech disorder, or any mental behavioral problem. We are very happy to have broken the grounds to do this procedure.
Unfortunately, Kolebu doesn't have these tools, and Kolebu is the main center of neurosurgical training in Ghana. Not even Ghana alone, we have people coming from the West African sub-region. So having a center like Ridge with all these gadgets gives an opportunity for trainees to come and have a feel of it, because this is the standard everywhere.
After 8 hours, surgery is complete and Sergeant Sylvester Boakye's skull is reattached and the skin stitched up. This feat chalked by the medical team, the first in West Africa, means one thing: with adequate investment in the healthcare sector, it is possible for complex surgeries to be conducted right here in Ghana. Portia Gabo, TV3 News, Accra.
We'll keep very close eye on that and see, and kudos to the doctors for making that surgery possible. We'll let you get the needed update in subsequent bulletins. Let's take a quick trip to Nigeria now, where we are told that the inauguration parade and swearing in of President-elect Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu will take place at the Eagle Square in the federal capital, Abuja, on Monday, the 29th of May. Tinubu defeated 17 other candidates who took part in the February election, and he secured a total of over 8 million votes, thus making him the president-elect. There are already some contentions over the election, and clearly looks as though that court case, while it is still ongoing, we are just going to be having the man sworn in. Let's go to Nigeria now and speak to Head of Research and Monitoring Desk for News Central TV in Nigeria, Abdulateef Ahmed, who's joined us via Zoom. Abdulateef, good evening. Thank you for joining us from Nigeria.
Good evening. Thank you.
What's the mood like in Nigeria ahead of Monday's inauguration?
Generally, it's an exciting, epoch-making moment, because a lot of Nigerians have been anticipatory, hoping that we'll have a smooth transition into another government. And so far, we've not had unnecessary skirmishes an upheaval. It looks smooth so far. We've had delegations from across the world arriving in Abuja. However, a lot of persons are wondering if the litigations in court will not hamper the incoming government. So far, there has been a lot of movement from across the country, people moving to Abuja ahead of the inauguration, people hopeful that the inauguration will usher in the hopes and wishes and aspirations of a lot of Nigerians, regardless of how a hard-won election was fought, and people still hold political grudges and sentiments, as the case may be. But as democracy is, a majority wins as the case may be, and it's now up to the incoming government to have everybody on board and run a government that is all inclusive.
That's actually the point I would also want to find out from you. I mean, we know that there is a litigation over the election results. The court processes have begun. Wouldn't that in any way affect the swearing in?
It wouldn't. There was anticipation earlier on that the judges of the Supreme Court or the Presidential Election Tribunal would rule against the swearing in. However, about 11 cases have been dismissed so far, and some of them were seen to be abuse of court processes. By and large, the contention was to see if the inauguration could be stopped so that an interim government arrangement be put in place. However, that interim government arrangement is alien to Nigeria's constitution.
Right.
Litigations will end in August, which is essentially 6 months from when the elections held. That is what is in the constitution. Therefore, there is no rule that stops, there's no position of the law that says the person who has won must not be sworn in, because when you do not swear the president in, you create a vacuum, and creating a vacuum will be a ticket for violence and instability. Democracy will be highly impacted by such a vacuum created.
Right. So, for lack of time, I would want you to tell me 2 quick things Nigerians are expecting from the new government. Top of your head, what are the 2 key things people will be expecting from?
Quickly, Nigerians want safety and security. Nigerians want a better economy. Nigerians want, an all-inclusive government where their voices will be heard and their concerns will be responded to. Unlike the previous government, where we have a lot of body language assumptions, people want to see an effective government where the president is seen to address issues as they are coming up, and not let in the hands of media aides and public spokesperson who would only give their views or assumptions of what's going on. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us from Nigeria, Abdul Lateef Ahmed, digital head of Central TV in Nigeria. Thank you. We'll definitely be updating you tomorrow when the swearing-in takes place in the capital, Abuja.
Let's do some more menstrual health stories. 2,000 girls selected from deprived private basic schools in the Ayawaso West municipality of the Greater Accra region have been provided sanitary pads as part of activities to mark Menstrual Hygiene Day. Now, the intervention by Inspire Today Foundation was in partnership with Apps and Mobile Solutions.
Reports indicates that poor access to sanitary pads affects effective menstrual care for many young schoolgirls. Consequently, many of them miss up to 5 days of classes every month, affecting the educational outcome.
The period we give the girls the pads, they don't miss classes. They are always in school. In 7 years, which is in 2030, no girl should be held back in life just because they menstruate. So an NGO like us is working towards that.
The girls were provided with bathing soap and washing detergent sponsored by Wilma Africa, producers of Jamar and A-Life soap.
We have to be committed. Every stakeholder, be you a parent or whoever, ensure that you provide the girls with the necessary sanitary materials.
Apps and Mobile Solutions is determined to nurture young girls.
Our objective or goal is at least to reduce their dropping out of school by supporting this laudable cause where they stay in school, and the long-term impact is that we'll have an educated population.
Inspired Today, with support from individuals and corporate institutions since 2019, has supported over 38,000 menstruating girls in deprived communities across the 5 constituencies within the Northern, Volta and Greater Accra regions.
In other news tonight, Madam for Ghana Foundation has handed over a maternity block to the Prapra Bida Health Center in the Upper Dentra East Municipality of the Central Region in Ghana. The facility is to help improve maternal health.
The 10-bed capacity facility has a fully equipped operating theatre with a recovery ward. The facility is also expected to serve Alhaji Krum in Tom Tom and other adjoining communities in the Upper Dentra East Municipality. The project came to being following a priority assessment in the Prapra Babida community. The project is also in line with the global goal of reducing maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births by 2030. At a brief ceremony to hand over the maternity block to the community, Deputy Country Director of Madam for Ghana Foundation, Enoch Atipo Sande, said the mission of the NGO is to provide health assistance to help in the delivery of quality health care.
We have provided them with this edifice that can help them promote healthcare delivery, especially the women who are pregnant. They cannot travel a distance with a abuboya or motokin or motorbike to go and deliver. We have so that we have also again to bring healthcare delivery to their household.
The Upper Dentra East Municipal Chief Executive, Ebenezer Apia Forsen, expressed his gratitude to the foundation and promised the facility will be taken good care of to serve its purpose. He said they are doing their best on the issue of health in the municipality.
What we are looking for is extending the health care to our people in the various areas. And
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have many more stories for you right after this.
Gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
You dey sleep. That's Madina.
Sentuntum say wunna ma deju me ma wonsa.
Efrema be magani oba.
Ma wonsa. Sentuntum ma bo sumuda ma wonsa.
That shall not slap. Having black mosquito quail. Pamon tontom na empom wisie bebre na ema wo mowa na ema wo nhwam na ehwam.
Having insecticide spray hwam na sanso kum mo a wotu ene omo wia nyina. Now having naphthalene balls and having perfumed insect repellent, no, a kumwa warrior, nothing just here with you.
Having black mosquito que, Mpongisi bebri, and say what so. A sham kama, bueno, emubu, the jumo size no, but you don't shred to me no.
And a heaven spray, having naphthalene balls, ni perfumed insect repellent, no, a kumwa mutu, now our numb from nothing just shamwechi.
Heaven dear, Bacope, heaven dear, heaven dear, Bacope, heaven dear, Bacope.
FDA actually a dreaded kratoyatum.
Many people think I get whatever I want because I'm a popular actress. But no, that is not true. Me Alcasano, Adebia mi yebiano, me shishimpe papano. And when I find it, I stick to it. My shishimenya Bell Pack tissues. Bell Pack ewe tea roll. Bell Pack tea roll. Soft, but not weak. Strong, but not hard. It is smooth. Me yusua, me hotome. It's just perfect. Same as the kitchen towel. What about what? What me the papaye? What me soki? Echimu esa pepa. One Bell Pack kitchen towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bell Pack today. Say here pocket tissue, table napkin, tea roll, and a kitchen towel. Bell Pack is simply the best. It's just perfect.
Nothing feels so good like Bell Pack.
The sweet scent of rose in the morning brings me so much joy. Inspired by damask rose and infused with 100% natural rose oil. Introducing new Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder. It's like bringing a garden with you everywhere with this wonderful perfume. Take a garden with you everywhere you go with Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder.
This is the breaking news. About 2,500 people 2,500 people have been.
We'll be right back after a commercial break.
When stubborn coughs, colds, and catarrh interrupt your life, get fast relief with Stop Cough. The Stop Cough range is suitable for adults, children, and babies.
In today's breaking news, Alex is back and
there is a Stop Cough for every cough and for everyone.
There surely is.
Ask your pharmacist about the right Stop Cough for you. The Stop Cough range is manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back to News 360. It is now time for Mission. This edition is funded by United States Agency for International Development, USAID, from the American people. Of all children in Ghana aged 5 to 17, about 21% are involved in child labor, according to UNICEF. And in fishing communities like Mumford in the central region, the engaging of children for fishing activities at the expense of their education has become the norm. In this report, my colleague Judith Awachitano follows 17-year-old Benin who skips school to go to sea.
Child labor in fishing communities is nothing new. And in Mumford in the central region, the fishing trade has now become its major driving force. It's along these shores that many children from the town and its neighboring environs troop on a daily basis. Their vulnerability and obedience to command makes them easy prey. Benin is 17, and for years he has thronged the Mumford landing beach in what he says is his only means of livelihood. He does a long walk to the beach every night from a neighboring village so he can join the canoes on their fishing expedition. When I ask where he spends the night, he points out to a small building. Benin has not been in school for years. He's simply uninterested and believes his sole purpose is fishing. Although efforts to reach out to his parents were not successful, he tells me they have advised him on a constant basis to go to school like the rest of his siblings, but he has refused.
Two parents want him there and pay them to school.
Benin is not alone. Several other children his age and below are caught in the same web. And while some simply cannot afford an education, others like Benin would rather learn the fishing trade. That is Benin's master. He says efforts to convince Benin to stop the fishing trade have proven futile. It's certainly become a dire situation, one rid with impacts many are unaware of. I asked the chief fisherman what is being done about situations like Benin's and all other cases involving child labor on the Mumford London beach.
I've been a volunteer for task force. Into one Guarana, Omidioba, near the good animal. Into Mufana, some Bacata, and the Afro Mammy. Yabamo Afro Mammy Maba. The Waba, Guarana, some Bacan never had that be so Mammy Cushion. Obi Bossy, no mammy, 1 minute, Obis also mammy to quaint. Obis also no mammy and 1 moment to uncle. Dominayan team, Yamon Coffee, all the mammy from the bar. Yabba Bisa Mammy from Walla, you are.
Currently, 69% of boys are recorded to be involved in child labor across Ghana, according to the 2022 Child Labor Report. If Ghana is determined to attain the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal 4, that ensures inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all, then more must be done. Judith Chitando, TV3 News, Mumford.
And that's how we end Mission Tonight. Mission Tonight was funded by USAID from the American people. Thank you for watching.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Honey, new supper! And a pat evaporated milk. Ooh. Tasty and creamy, right?
So.
And a pat milk, a custard one, a fine. Na se wa Tom Brown no rice water muswa, a nice. Honey, trip na baso, me the enapa mayonnaise. Na me dia salad, and a burger. Fries ne so, and a tasty ketchup, and a good side. Coffee ni jollof ne so, me the enapa perfume long green rice. Oh, you are. Don't forget your favorite enapa chocolate milk drink.
Oh, more quite so.
See, honey, you are sorted.
I'm in control like a pilot on Enapa Airways.
Mama, Mama!
Me, you know.
Enapa, I can't stand it.
Just a moment. Enapa, huh?
Yeah!
Enapa, oh yeah, Jack Macron, no more. It's you cannot get there. Hey, you contumre. What up, Kenny? Tomato sauce, I want to be. Enapa sardine for box with salad, yeah.